Have you guys ever wanted to watch anime with me? Well, now you guys can. We watch all type of anime and we do it on a nightly basis. All you guys have to do is follow me on Twitch and click the link in the description to join the Discord. With that out of the way, let's get into the intro. 2020 was a hard year for a lot of us, but we were able to push through it, and we have to thank all the manga and anime companies who gave us something to watch. Now, I've been watching anime my entire life, starting out with things like Yu-Gi-Oh!, Digimon, Beyblade, Dragon Ball Z, etc. Now, I'm not really listing the top 10 animes that came out in 2020. It's just going to be listing my top 10 favorite animes of all time, and they'll have, I guess, animes up to date in 2020, things that had new seasons in 2020 and new animes that came out. Now, how we'll be ranking these is giving them a rating out of 10, talking about what I didn't like, my favorite arcs, characters, fights, and moments. And if you guys enjoy anime content, then make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video. With that out of the way, my name is Potential Unleashed, and here are my 10 favorite animes 2020 edition. To officially start off the list at number 10, I have Haikyuu, giving it a 7.5 out of 10. I love the animation and the intensity of each and every match that they have. I like the idea of the MC in Hinata Shoyo wanting to be the best at volleyball, even though he's so small for the sport, trying to be just as dominant as the little giant. Now, I did wish that every season wasn't just basically one full volleyball match, but granted, that'll probably keep the longevity of the anime, or it could also make it played out. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. My favorite arc would probably be Kurasuno vs. Abajosai round 2. Just the feeling of them coming back after such a harsh and close defeat was just so satisfying. Some characters I love include Nishinoya, Bokuto, Shuga, Tanaka, and Kageyama. My favorite moment had to be Nishinoya's double save against Shiratorizawa, because it had something that would shift the tide of the match, a point they had to have. Really sad season 4 ended last week, but can't wait for season 5 in 2021. For number 9 on the list, I'm going to have to give it to Naruto, and I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10. And I feel like the show's good, but I think it's slightly overrated. A solid story with lovable characters, with really good animation and top tier fights. Maybe only Dragon Ball has better fights, but it's a toss up in my opinion. Naruto is a great MC who you can always and want to root for. One thing that was such a drag, see what I did there, was the fact that they would repeatedly show the same flashbacks for half an arc multiple times when we've already seen it so much. I feel like it was really dragged out, and it really took away from the intensity of a fight or a situation. For example, we have Itachi and Sasuke's flashback, or even Obito. We've seen their flashbacks way too many times, and I also feel like the pacing of the war arc, it could have been a little bit better, and you could also see who was dying a mile away, and I personally wish that they had more suspense. The best arc hand down was the pain arc. I think the best moment in the entire show, for me, it had to be Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura's three-way deadlock during the war arc. Some of my favorite characters are Hinata, Jiraiya, Kakashi, Shikamaru, and Minato. And I think my favorite fight of the series, surprisingly, is not going to be Naruto and Sasuke. I want to be a little different. I'm going to actually go with Obito versus Kakashi because of everything that was behind the fight, behind the hatred and regret the two had. For number 8, I'm gonna give it to Dr. Stone, and I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. The show's just different from any other animes that I've ever seen. There's a good and evil where no real power system is in play, and what I mean by power system is like Nen from Hunter x Hunter, Chakra Naruto, Quartz from My Hero Academia, etc. Senku isn't your average anime MC where he's actually the smartest person in the show, where, you know, the usual MCs are kind of idiotic and lovable. And, well, I still love him, but you know what I mean. And even though it's a stone world, I do feel like the show started off a little slow, but wasn't really much of a deal breaker for me. Now, there isn't necessarily an arc because they only have one season, but since season 2 drops about 2 weeks, and I'm probably going to really enjoy Stone Wars more because we'll have more action between Senku and Tsusaka, since both sides pretty much are prepared for the war. Characters I like include Senku, Chrome, Kinro, Genro, and the mentalist Gen. Now, my favorite moment, it was probably when Senku was, quote, killed, well, allegedly killed, because I like their approach to animes not being so predictable. I didn't see that coming. I don't think the viewers saw it coming. The best fight for comedy was probably Senku versus Genro, but being for real, my favorite fight was probably Kinro versus Magma, and I think that's where I really gained respect for Kinro and where he became my favorite character. And coming in at number 7, I have Dragon Ball series. Now this is gonna get an 8.5 out of 10. I think I love it even more. Well, I know it's good, but probably more because of the nostalgia. I remember waking up early on weekends just to be able to see what happened. I think Goku's a good MC. I don't think he's the best, but I also don't think he's the worst, but he does get a lot of unnecessary hate. He elevates those around him and he turns his enemies into allies. I feel sometimes the fights are a little bit dragged out and the story isn't as good as other animes, but still is really good. The best moment in the show by far for me is Gohan going Super Saiyan 2 because of the adversity the Z Fighters were put in, and Gohan became a bad man during that moment. My favorite characters include Gohan, Future Trunks, Videl, Vegito, and Hit. It's very hard to pick one of my favorite fights in Dragon Ball because, like I said earlier, it could be argued that it's the king of fights, but I'm gonna have to say probably Vegito versus Zamasu was my favorite fight because they're my favorite fusion, and in my favorite arc during Dragon Ball Super, it's just fitting. I can't wait to see the moral arc be animated and DBS make its return.
内通者は君だったんだね、レイ。
For number 6, I'm gonna have The Promised Neverland, and this is gonna get a 10 out of 10 for me. This show literally threw me off, and I was so surprised what happened in the first episode. I thought it was just gonna be kids about an orphanage, but boy was I wrong. Now how can a 10 out of 10 show be ranked 6? Well, I really don't know myself, but it's like I love the other shows a little bit more, probably because I've seen them multiple times where I've seen this once. I think Emma's a good MC, nothing too special about her other than the fact that she puts others before her. My favorite characters are Ray, Emma, Norman, Isabel, and that's probably it since they don't really have such a big cast and the characters don't really get that much screen time. I think the best moment had to be when we found out Ray was a spy working for Mom, because he's my favorite character, and I low-key was scared that the group was going to turn on him and he was going to be a bad guy, but it's a good thing that he was on the orphan side the entire side, being a double agent. For number 5, I have the new anime that's making a splash, Jujutsu Kaisen, and I know I'm jumping the gun, but I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. Now I haven't read the manga, but from what I've heard, this anime has only reached the tip of the iceberg. I think in all 13 episodes, we've had at least some form of action in it. Itadori's a lovable MC who's just gonna get better as the show goes on. It has amazing animation, but I think the story lacks just a little bit, but it'll probably get better over time. The best moment for me would probably be Gojo's domain expansion because I legit thought the Ninja was blind and he dominated the fight with not much effort. My favorite characters are Fushiguro, Itadori, Gojo, Nanami, and Mai. There are also so many fights within the show, it's really hard for me to pick one, but Fushiguro versus Sunika was probably my favorite just because how dominant he was, which is odd for me to pick against Fushiguro because he's my favorite character. For number 4, I have My Hero Academia. I think this show is where the community ruins it more than the anime does, and I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. Every time I see a TikTok, YouTube video, Instagram post, I don't even bother going into comments because I already know how negative it'll be. I think Bakugo and Deku's relationship is basically a worse or better version of Naruto and Sasuke, except I think it's a little bit faster and it gets better, easier. I don't know. I think Deku's a great and very relatable MC. The fact that he never had anything but works harder than anyone else is truly inspiring. My favorite moment is when Deku says Eri from Overhaul. The music, the intensity, feeling like this is the one and only shot that they had to save her. The best characters are Kirishima, Uraraka, Todoroki, Aizawa, and Muriel Togato. My favorite manga arc probably the war arc, but since we're talking about anime here, probably the one with Overhaul. The best fight scene for me would probably be Lemillion versus Overhaul. Once he lost his quirk, seeing him still body everyone was impressive and made him one of my favorite characters. For number 3, I have Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. And a funny story about this, I actually saw the 2003 version of it first and was a little bit let down because I heard the anime had such a great story, but once I saw Brotherhood, I saw what the rave and the hype was about. I give this anime a 9.5 out of 10. It doesn't have the best animation or fights, but the story is phenomenal and characters you just can't hate. The fact that two brothers had everything taken from them and they're searching to right the wrongs that they did is a great story, great motivation. Edward Elric is probably my favorite MC of all time just because 1, he's funny, and 2, I relate to him on people calling him short. My favorite moment without a doubt is Mustang's revenge versus Envy, making him pay for what he did to Maze Hughes. The animation and build-up was great, and the relentless attacks, you could feel the hatred each and every time he snapped his fingers. My favorite characters are Mustang, Edward Elric, Mace Hughes, Olivier Armstrong, and Riza Hawkeye, and Greed. And yeah, I know I've been doing a trend only listing about 5 characters, but I had to include my man Greed because he's funny. My favorite fight from this series, without a doubt, is Olivier and Louis Armstrong's tag team against Sloth. The fact that she was like dogging that man the whole fight, yelling at her brother, calling him weak, and then he stepped up, really was really good. Coming in at number 2, I have Attack on Titan. This could arguably be my number 1 favorite anime, not gonna lie. I give this a 10 out of 10. I love the fact that this shonen is based on perspective and not really establishing a right or wrong or a villain in the series. This anime had me hooked to where I first binge watched this. I think this was my first ever anime I binge watched. It took me 3 days, and I have read the manga because I couldn't wait for season 4. I already know what's happening, I'm caught up. This show's story is amazing. Great characters, great fights, great animation. Honestly, I can't tell you what flaws they have in the show. Maybe the fact that they kill off dang near every character you get attached to, but that's nothing. Eren Yeager would go down as arguably the greatest protagonist of all time just because of his growth and character development, where he saw the world in black and white and now he sees it in a different color. There are so many memorable moments, it's hard to just pick one, but I'll probably go with Eren using the power of the coordinate after him and Mikasa had their little moment. And yeah, I shipped them, okay? My favorite characters include Mikasa, Levi, Eren, Reiner, and Coney. The best arc for me, well, I don't really know what the arc's called. I couldn't find it anywhere, so I would say around it's season 2. Maybe the betrayal arc, I guess. That's what we're gonna give it the name. The best fight, and I wanted to say Levi versus the Beast Titan, but that's more of a slaughter than anything. And then I was gonna say Annie versus Eren, but the anime changed it a little bit. And then some fights aren't even animated yet, so we're gonna go with Reiner and Eren's first fight. Reiner, he should have lost that fight if Brotherhood didn't intervene, but Eren, he was using his brain and his past experiences to his advantage.
俺の技はみんな一段階進化する。いや、セカンド。
And for number 1, this is probably a no-brainer for you guys. I'm gonna say One Piece, and I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. The manga does a better job of depicting and pacing different stuff, but the anime is really good in my opinion. I don't think that they did an awful job. So if I'm combining the two, based off of reading the manga, I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. Great story, great fights, top tier characters. The only thing the show does wrong would probably be the animation, but I really don't think it's too bad, especially Wano. And being long doesn't affect me at all. Luffy's a lovable and great MC where he has the power to bring allies around him. My favorite One Piece moment, it's hard to pick since there's so many, but I'd have to say Luffy going Gear 2nd for the first time because he got a power boost, but at the same time it's not completely broken like in other animes, Goku, Naruto, I'm just saying. My favorite arc is the Enies Lobby arc, but maybe when Wano's over, that'll be my favorite. My favorite characters include people like Zoro, Luffy, Law, Katakuri, and Boa Hancock. My favorite fight is up to decide because I really like Zoro versus Killer and Luffy versus Lucci, but ultimately I'm gonna give the fight to Luffy versus Katakuri since we get my favorite Gear 4th form, and the fact that he fought him for 12 hours is even more impressive. And there we have it. These are my top 10 favorite animes of all time, 2020 edition. Let me know what you guys thought. How do you guys think about my taste? I think it's pretty solid. I have exquisite taste. It might be a little basic, but I really do enjoy each and every one of these. So let me know what animes you guys enjoy. What are top 10 animes to you guys? Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you guys never miss out on a video. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat on the screen in the description below. And also, this is not the last video of 2020. So even though, I'm gassing it up, I'm going to have one more video. Probably posted New Year's Eve for you guys. And I'm going to have a little something for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. And don't forget to unleash your potential.